Today, we're looking at Private Reserve's Midnight Blues. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Private Reserve's Midnight Blues is a blue ink. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I put the ink into a different pen for a day. I then put it into a Noodler's Ahab with a modified flex nib to take my notes for this video. Now, before we look at the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is the chromatography. And I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. The line across the bottom is very there and permanent. It is a very dark, kind of greenish gray line. It's pretty nice. It works its way up and we see the hints of little bits. I felt like I was seeing little bits of purples and then the blue that gets much darker. I feel like I see hints of purple, but then it's like it's gone. It's there and it's gone, and it's there and it's gone. It's a neat color. And the one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. That line across the bottom is much more permanent and there. Here the purple pushing, the bluish purple tone that's pushing up seems a little more of the purplies to see. And then we see the blue. But I do think that this ink is going to have some resistance based on that line across the bottom. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pens. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, it handles it fairly well. That extra fine becomes more like a fine, maybe fine medium. But it is safe for a note-taking situation where you would need to go back and highlight. So have confidence with this ink as a note-taker. Water lifted off the blue ink only, but the gray that was across the bottom in the chromatographies is very there and not budging. Pen Flush did exactly the same thing that water did. It only removed the blue ink. All that gray across the bottom was still there on this. So if you got it wet, you'd be able to read what you wrote, but it might take a little more effort to get this out of your pen. Now, 1/3 bleach solution might be called for to get this out of your pen. Looking at what it did, it completely obliterates it. It looks like it wasn't there through the center of that bleach. That's only 30 seconds. If you had to use a 1/3 bleach solution, you should use it quickly and then flush your pen out with water or pen flush or then water to make sure that you don't rust your metal parts. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with a realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Private Reserve's Midnight Blues has a viscosity of 2.4, making it normal. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Private Reserve's Midnight Blues has an average dry time of 12 seconds, making it just a little bit faster than normal. Now, let's look at the writing samples. I picked this ink up in sample form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at Clairefontaine. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 is no feather, spread, halo sheen. It does offer shading. Now, because it's a dark, vibrant blue that goes very dark, you have to look for it, but it's there, and it's what makes this sort of pop some. The I is darker than the end of the M or the D. The T is certainly darker than the H. R is darker than the ES. Very nice going on here. Very nice. Extra fine. Same tone that we got with the 1.1. No feather, spread, halo, sheen. Beautiful shading in here. Again, it's a dark, vibrant blue that then goes towards a black. The H is very dark. It worked its way in and out of that very black blue right there. The QU is lighter than the I. It got lighter in the C, darker in the K. Very nice. Fox starts dark, gets light, gets dark again. Beautiful stuff. 8 seconds to dry. The medium has the exact same tone of blue. No feather, spread, halo sheen. Beautiful shading in this. Quick, starts really dark, gets darker, gets lighter, gets darker again. Brown, starts very dark, gets to be a lighter. And because, again, it's going to that dark, vivid blue into a black. It's beautiful. 14 seconds to dry. The extra fine and the medium scrubby both show us plenty of color variation, and we did get the color variation up here. And the smear test, you could likely recover it. This is a perfect example of when I'm talking about an ink being boring as in predictable. All three gave the same performance, same tones, different nibs. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Tomoe River. No bleeding. Yes, we get ghosting because it's Tomoe River. Why this would be your normal paper that you don't stand a chance of using the back, I don't get it. But people love it. I like certain qualities of it. The 1.1 is no feather spread, halo sheen. We see no shading here. It had enough time to level out and dry, and then that went away. The extra fine has the exact same tone of blue with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. It's lost here. 12 seconds to dry. Just a beautiful, vivid blue here. Nice. You don't get normally that vivid and that dark together. Great. Medium, no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 20 seconds to dry. Same tone as the others. Beautiful stuff. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. In the smear test, you could not recover it because you can almost never recover stuff from Tomoe River. Rhodia. Rhodia gives us no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 gives no feather, spread, halo, sheen. It gives nice shading spots all over. The middle of the M is much darker than the rest of the M. The backside of the D is darker than the rest of the D. The T is darker than the rest of midnight. Nice up here. Extra fine, same tones. No tone change. The extra fine is no feather, spread, halo sheen. We do see some of that same shading going on. Quick starts with that almost blackish blue down into the bright, dark, vivid blue there, and it gets gets darker again onto the K. Nice. Brown starts dark and gets a little lighter. Fox starts dark, gets light, gets dark. Beautiful stuff. 7 seconds to dry. I don't know what happened to the focus right there. Was it my hand? Medium, same exact tone as we saw before. So predictable, so fantastic. No feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. 12 seconds to dry. Unfortunately, we don't get to have the shade here. The extra fine scrubby shows us some color variation when you look far left to far right, and that is what we got up here. The medium showed us none. We didn't get any. And the smear test, you could likely recover it if you smeared while you were writing. So we've so far only lost that shading in the one spot. Monokaki, Monokaki paper. No bleeding, minor show through. I wouldn't use the back of the page, but some people would. The 1.1 is no feather spread, halo sheen. We have no shading with this paper. It seems to absorb a little bit faster, and that makes some of the difference, maybe. It's not a whole lot faster. I don't know why. I think it's the tone of the paper here that makes us lose that shading. The extra fine has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 6 seconds to dry. Again, it is the same tone that we see with the 1.1. It's the same tone we're going to get into the medium. I think the tone of the paper made that little bit of shading that we were getting from the vivid blue to the black go away. Medium, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, 13 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show no color variation. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. In the smear test, you could likely recover if you smeared while you were writing. Moleskin, the arch enemy of fountain pen users. Strikes again. Plenty of bleed through. The medium actually did touch the page underneath. I don't know that you could use the back of this page comfortably with this ink. It's horrible. A lot of bleed, a lot of show through. The medium at the top, no spread, but crazy amounts of feathering. I don't know that, I think the feathers have feathers, and the feathers of feathers of feathers have feathers.
No halo sheen or shade, extra fine, spread, feathered, is gross. No halo sheen or shade, 4 seconds to dry. The scrubby shows no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it. And the smear test, hey, good news, you could recover that disgusting mess. 20-pound copier paper. Yes, it bled. Yes, it touched the page underneath. No, you cannot use the back of this page. No, you can't even use the page underneath it. The medium at the top, spread and feathered. It's gross. No halo sheen or shade. The extra fine, spread. The feathering's pretty minimal, though. Pretty minimal feathering. If all you care about is the front of the paper, not the back of the paper, you can deal with throwing out half your ream of paper when you write with it. It didn't feather bad at all. There's a couple little spots, like at the top of F, on the top of the F on Fox, I see a tiny bit. On the U of Jumps, I see a tiny bit. But other than that, it's not horrible. No halo sheen or shade, 1 second to dry. The scrubby shows us no color variation. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. It looks like a lot more on camera. In person, there's none. The smear test, you can't smear it. So it's got that as a positive, and that is all that I have for the writing sample.
Instead of finding inks that look like Private Reserve's Midnight Blues, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I've chosen Robert Oster's Maroon 1789, one of my favorite maroon inks, and the color comes across as a kind of red-brown. It's a perfect maroon to me. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Private Reserve's Midnight Blues? This is an interesting shade to work with of blue and how it performs. It goes from being a very vibrant blue to being able to be a very dark blue in the same writing, which makes it very cool to work with. The shading works a little different than some of what I've been used to seeing, and I haven't seen a lot of inks shade in this way. I really like how this ink performs, and I think if you really like blues and some interesting shading properties, this is a sample worth trying. Thanks for watching.